Hello and welcome to Progress and Promise. I'm Shannon Nickinson, and with me today is our executive producer, Quinn Studer. Sometimes it seems like progress comes at a snail's pace to Northwest Florida, that for every step forward, we take 2 steps back. But we can get the big things right. We've proven it, in fact, several times in recent years. In this episode, we want to look at 3 large municipal projects that this community put the political, social, and financial will behind that succeeded. Creating Rebuild Northwest Florida, relocating the Main Street sewer plant from the downtown waterfront to the central part of the county. And the third project is the Vince Wibb Senior Community Maritime Park, which is nearing its 10-year anniversary mark. There still are wrinkles to be ironed out in the Maritime Park project, but if we pay attention to the lessons that Rebuild and moving old Stinky, as we used to call it back in the day, I think we have reason to be hopeful that though some of the plans for it have changed along the way, the Maritime Park is going to be something we can all be proud of. The common thread I found in researching these projects was that while government played a role in each of them, the linchpin was really a dedicated effort by the private sector to see things through to the end. And Quint, you know a little something about the dedicated private sector seeing things through to the end.
Well, I certainly learned a lot. I knew a little going in, but I know a lot now. And I think the real challenge when you try to do a private-public partnership is the public aspect of it. And I think truly there can sometimes be unrealistic expectations because, you know, especially the elected officials are all going to get a lot of pressure. Sure. They all might have different varying degrees. But am I being up for re-election? Aren't I being up for re-election? And some there's just like a lack of information that goes out there. And when the Community Maritime Park referendum was going, I happened to be speaking in Virginia, and there was a state senator that came up to me, and I told him there was a referendum, and he said, it's so hard to get a yes in a referendum. And he said, the reason is it's people will vote no for different reasons. For example, at Community Maritime Park, we had one real leader that said he didn't want it because there wasn't enough private development on it. His partner said he didn't want it because he wanted all green space. And a third person said he just wanted to beat me. So you had 3 people all saying no, but they couldn't agree on each other. So that's some of the hard parts about a private-public partnership. It's a lot harder to get a yes than it is a no.
But we can get yeses, and I think the Maritime Park is going to grow into one of the things this community can be so proud of.
I think, you know, it already has, and people might forget the biggest cost on that property is not the stadium. The stadium's $18 million with $3 million of private from Rishi and I. The biggest issue is getting out of toxic waste. And if you look at a downtown, we would not have the vibrancy of Palafox and all those cranes going if you still had a toxic waste dump. That's the biggest thing, was removing toxic ground soil, and if you had the sewage treatment plant there. So both of those set Pensacola up for a very good future.
We're excited. Now we're going to have some guests on shortly who are going to share their stories with us, and we're very excited for you to come and listen to them. One of the things I think, too, that's important to note is that all of our projects that we're highlighting today had at their root Hurricane Ivan, which is not anything anyone in this community wants to dwell on or remember too much, but that was really the common thread that pushed things over the top.
And as we talked about earlier before the show, you don't want to wait for a hurricane before you get positive movement. And the other point you brought up, and I'll finish with, is research shows that government's very limited. And if you're really going to move a city or move a community, it's private investment. And that's really what this is all about, getting private individuals to really work together to move the community forward.
We'll be right back in just a few minutes to start our conversation. Please stay with us.